Oh, time for reassembly. Got a heater going. Everything's dry to the touch. See side markers. This lens. So I'll put some gloves on, and just that way I'm not leaving fingerprints, because you touch these little bezels right here, these black ones, you're going to leave fingerprints all over that. So you're going to want gloves just to prevent fingerprints. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on, wipe everything down, and then I'm going to go ahead and open these up. And I'm going to put these in the housings. I'm going to figure out where I want them, but got plenty of them. So let's get started. Okay, so here's a small sneak peek. I have the bezel and everything on. Chrome reflector. And I taped all kinds of those silica gel packets up in the housing. So I'm going to go ahead and start assembling everything now. So I went back to assemble everything, and turns out the reflectors are still kind of tacky, so I put them in the oven. I'm gonna let them bake at 200 degrees for maybe like an hour, and then I'm gonna turn the oven off and let them stay in the oven and cool off. So I can go ahead and reassemble everything. I got the marker in this bezel right here. So to reassemble everything, I think it's lens, this bezel, and then the reflector goes on top like a sandwich, and that completes the whole lens before you start to attach it back to the housing. Oh, and once you get the reflector in, you need to put these back in, these things too. But we're gonna let this bake and cure a little bit more. Okay, so these are drying off right now, or not drying off, cooling off. So I'm gonna show you guys. Like I said, it goes reflector first, or your amber lot goes into this. It just clicks back into place, and then it's held in by that 1.7mm bolt, and then this falls into place. Let's see, start this corner in first. It's not the best luck. Yeah, it just kind of sits right in, and then it will line up with the plastic lens. And then once you get that situated, you can go ahead and drop these in. Let's see, I believe this was the left side. So it would be this one. Have dust and everything over it. Yeah, wipe that off. That looks bad. Does this one have dust on it too? But yeah, this is going to turn over, fit into place, and it's all held together by those T20 screws. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off. Actually, I'm going to let it cool off some more, then wipe it off, get the dust off of it, then put it together. Okay, so I have the reflector dropped in. It's pretty easy to line up because you have these little ears right here. And when I put the reflector in, I was holding it by these tabs. That's how I guided it. But you have like a little ear right here, and one over here, and one down here that helps you line everything up. But then once it sits flush, all the holes will line up perfectly, and you can stick your wire and harness back inside these channels right here, like right there and right there. Just push them back in. But I'm gonna go ahead and screw this together. So you're gonna have to screw the reflector to the bezel, and then the bezel to the lens, and then these reflectors go back in. Okay, so there is the driver's side lens completed. These reflectors go in pretty easy. They have little ears too. They just guide themselves right in basically. Have the wires tucked in and their little wire holder tabs. But now it's time to grab this assembly and glue it onto that. And like I said, I have these little silica packets. So if there is any moisture, if I don't seal it up properly, then they should be able to pull any moisture that may get trapped inside. So I'm using this stuff right here, just a clear adhesive, and then put some gloves on and have at it. Let's see, got these two connected right here. And then silicone all the way around the housing. Now it's time to put them together. So we put the 5 screws back in, and that pulled the lens back into the housing, and it squeezed a lot of that silicone out. The T15 screws right there. Once you get those in, go back over top of it. See, I have this huge crack. I'm gonna have to fill that in. And then we notice there's a spot up top. So when you get it back together, just go back over top of it, fill in any spots. But once we fill those in, this should not leak anymore. Okay, so here's the passenger side lens. Got it done. Yeah, so everything's put together with this one. Now I just need to connect these harnesses up to that piece over there. Silicone everything and snap it back together. So, like this one. Yeah, all that stuff all over that bad boy. But they're turning out pretty good. They'll look a lot better with some light tint on them. So yeah, make sure you connect these harnesses back up. They just click back into place. One thing, when you're reassembling all this stuff, make sure these wires don't get pinched inside the channel right here. It happened on that one when I was putting it back together. I had to take it back apart. But yeah, get these connected, and then just fill this channel all the way around with silicone. Or you can reuse this butyl stuff, whatever that soft rope is. But I'm just going to use silicone. Let's go ahead and get this one put together, and then we can go ahead, let the silicone dry a little bit, and go ahead and start reassembling the front bumper. So if we're going to go the route I'm going, just make sure you squeeze from the bottom of your tube and work from the top down. Makes a big mess, but we don't want this to leak. So I'm gonna go ahead and clamp these back together and screw them down and get this housing complete. Okay, so it's flipped over. You have 5 T15s. Just put them in a star pattern like you would putting a wheel on a car. That way everything's getting pulled in evenly. But I'm gonna flip it back over and just go over, you know, the outskirts of it again with more silicone and let it sit and dry, and that's basically it. The housings are done. So let's go ahead and do that right quick. Oh, here they are. That's the finished product. Not perfect, but they do look a lot better than they did. Got all this cleaned up. Everything's sorted out for when I go to put them back on the car. So I'm gonna set this stuff over. They do look so much better, I will say that. Definitely. Can't wait to put them on the car. Okay, so the silicone's pretty much dried. I'm putting the headlights back in right now. You can see, as you can see, this stuff's like just tacky. I have the other connector hooked in on the driver's side headlight, so I'm just gonna hook up the passenger one now. It just goes back in there like that, and with the press it with my elbow. There we go. Make sure you hear a click. But yeah, there we go. Now it's time just to bolt them in and then get the bumper situated. Putting it back together is a bitch. Fingerprints all over the headlight now. But the car needs washed completely anyway. Getting it back together though. Well, the car is back together, but I'm gonna do a before and after with it whenever the sun comes out tomorrow, because right now the lighting's not the best. But the car is back together and the headlights are in and they work. So I guess I'm eventually going to get the headlights re-tinted, that light smoke, and then I think that will complete the look of the car.